Welcome back to Raised by Giants Live special broadcast. Welcome everyone. Welcome everyone in the chat and any moderators and channel members out there. And to anyone that's listening to the replay, thanks for joining us. And if you're listening on YouTube or X, follow the show on the audio only podcast, Spotify, Apple Podcast, and Google Podcast. This is another special report episode, a follow up to the show that I did yesterday, titled Virginia Giuffre uh, Mandela effect. And I felt like I didn't have enough time to really understand what was going on because I was a guest on another channel show yesterday. So I had to cut the broadcast yesterday short. And I didn't really have enough time to put everything together. I just kind of put it together quickly because I thought that it was really strange, definitely with the bus accident that Virginia was involved in, where the police said that there wasn't any injuries in the bus accident and the police didn't even show up to the scene. But then we have the photo of Virginia posted on Instagram, which shows her appearing to not be looking so good. But literally, as soon as I hit the end live stream button yesterday, it kind of all came together for me. So I hope that you guys are ready for the journey here today. And we don't have a time limit, so we can go for however long we want to go. But I thought that your guys' comments yesterday were really interesting. A lot of you were making the comment that, maybe she was already dead in this photo right here. Yeah, she doesn't look too good. And I thought that that was really interesting. But I'm under the assumption that she was alive during this photo. But I just thought that it was really interesting how she was saying that she only had 3 to 4 days to live. The bus accident stuff is seeming like that it didn't even happen. That the whole bus accident thing was completely fabricated. And then I'm thinking, well, why would the bus accident be a giant fabrication? And how did she even end up in the hospital to begin with? If the bus accident thing didn't happen, okay, if we are under the assumption that the bus accident was fraudulent, or maybe it was like what the police were saying, that it was a minor accident. Let's listen to that video again real quick.
Do know there was an accident on the 24th of March. It was a bus with another vehicle.
And was there any passengers on the bus at the time? Are you aware?
I'm not aware of passengers on the bus, but certainly the bus driver reported it as he was required to do and in the right timeframes.
So there's a lot of things that's going on here. The police are saying that the bus accident happened. There was no injuries. The bus driver then reported it. The police didn't show up. The police didn't even show up to the accident. It was sort of like a hit and run. So the bus apparently hit her at 68 miles per hour, and the police didn't even show up to the scene. Okay, so that's very interesting.
And I'm advised it was about $2,000 damage in the vehicle, not aware of any injuries.
Now,
Okay, so if you get in a car accident, the whole point of the police being there is to assess the damage, because if there's not a police report, then the insurance for your vehicle is not going to pay you out anything. If you don't have a police report of the accident, then you're not going to get reimbursed by your insurance for the damage to your vehicle, regardless whose fault that it was. That's why a police report is important. And they just said that there was $2,000 worth of damage to the bus. And then in other articles, it says that it was $2,000 worth of damage to Virginia's vehicle. So which is it? There's so much conflicting information just surrounding this whole bus situation, this whole bus thing. Nancy, welcome. Good to see you. Tim, what's going on, my friend? Scott, Katie Cat, what's happening? Yeah, so this bus accident thing is very strange. And the article that we read yesterday of, Virginia essentially just her that she just like kind of made up these allegations of let me see if I can find it. Oh no, this isn't it. Oh, I don't even have the article up yet. But so we read the article yesterday of them saying that she mistakenly posted this Instagram photo to publicly, that she thought that she was posting this to a private Facebook group, which the whole thing just seems like super shady. And I made a comment yesterday, and I was onto it. I was onto it pretty quickly. I just didn't have enough time to really analyze everything that was going on here. But if you go back and you watch the episode that I did yesterday, I mentioned that this mark around her face looks like a handprint. And I didn't go into it any deeper because I didn't have enough time to really analyze exactly what was going on here. But this looks like she was beaten. Okay, so if she was beaten, this aligns with being repeatedly hit in the side of the head. Okay, and then, okay, let's actually go to the latest article. Chilling new details about Virginia Giuffre's final moments before suicide at age 41. Those closest to her break cover at her $1.9 million mansion. I don't know why they feel the need to put how much the mansion is worth in there unless someone's profiting from this whole deal. Her husband. Who gets all of her money if she suddenly dies? Who gets her property if she suddenly dies? Oh, that would be her husband. Okay, so new details have emerged about Virginia Giuffre's final moments after she was found unresponsive in her rural home in Western Australia, as those closest to her break cover at the family's $1.9 million mansion in Perth. Miss Giuffre's, who was trafficked to Giuffre Epstein as a teenager, took her own life at her farmhouse on Friday night. She was the most prominent accusers of convicted sex offenders Epstein and his former girlfriend, Ghislaine Maxwell, who she said kept her as a sex slave while they were flying around the world and offering their powerful associates like a platter of fruit. She alleged that they trafficked her to the Duke of York when she was 17 and 3 times sexually assaulted by him, a claim which Prince Andrew has denied. The prince reached an out-of-court settlement with her in 2022, which she also reached an out-of-court settlement with Ghislaine Maxwell as well. The WA police force spokesman for the Daily Mail Australia preliminary findings indicated that the death was not suspicious. Wow. So the person that you're accusing that sex trafficked you whenever you were 17 years old to all these prominent people died by suicide, that was not investigated in a jail cell. And then the person that's accusing you also coincidentally dies by suicide, and then there's no investigation. That makes a lot of sense. Okay. About 9:50 p.m. Friday, 25th April, emergency services received a report. A woman had been located unresponsive at a residence in Nagar Abbey. They said police of St. John's WA attended providing emergency first aid. Sadly, the 41-year-old woman was declared deceased at the scene. I want to know who called the emergency services here. Who called the emergency services to alert them that they know of an responsive woman at the residence? Okay, the death is being investigated by major crime detectives. Early indication is that death is not suspicious. Wow, okay, not suspicious. Just like Giuffre Epstein. Let's just cover that whole bad boy up. Family acquaintances were seen visiting Miss Giuffre's luxury 6-bedroom beachside mansion in Ocean Reef earlier on Saturday. A man and a woman arrived in a black UTE believed to be owned by Miss Giuffre's ex-husband, Robert, though he was not in the vehicle. This is getting sus. Okay, scroll down a little bit. A man wearing a white t-shirt and black pants exited the vehicle and received a set stack of cake boxes, which he carried into the home. The woman wearing a dark hoodie also entered the family home. Mr. Frey's family confirmed her death in a statement, writing that she had lost her life to suicide after grappling with being sex trafficked victim in her teens. Okay, which makes zero sense. You've been speaking out about this for 10 years. You've already fought those demons. They're gone. You're not going to take your life because of that. Virginia was a fierce warrior. And not only that, her saying that she would never, this New York Post ad that she tweeted in 2019, I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I have made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me and the sake of my family, do not let this go and help me protect him. Too many evil people want to see me quieted. Okay, so when someone says that, I take them at their word. When someone has enough about them to say that they're never going to commit suicide, that they're not suicidal, I tend to believe them. Okay. And I really don't believe that we should let this go. I think that there is a lot of fishy things going on here. Okay. Miss Giuffre claimed that she was sexually abused by Princess Andrew at the behest of Epstein associate, jailed British socialite Ghislaine Maxwell when she was just 17. She filed a federal lawsuit against Andrew in 2021, which he agreed to settle for an undisclosed fee in 2022. He has continuously denied ever having sex with her, which this is reported to be in the tens of millions of dollars. Okay, who seeks the benefit from this large sum of money that's going to be coming Virginia's way? Right, that would be her husband. Okay, she had alleged that she had sex with Andrew 3 times in London during the 2001 trip at Epstein's New York mansion when she was 17, and the Virgin Islands when at the age of 18. Andrew reportedly denied her allegations and said that he can't recall ever meeting her, although a photograph of them together in London townhouse, his arm around her midriff, and included in Giuffre's lawsuit against him. Epstein killed himself. Okay, he didn't really. He was either murdered or that wasn't even Jeffrey Epstein. I don't think that that was Jeffrey Epstein. I think they switched him out with somebody else, but that's just my opinion. Awaiting trial on federal sex trafficking charges involving dozens of teenage girls and young women, some as young as 14. In lawsuits, Ms. Giuffre said that the teenage spa attendant Mar-a-Lago, President Donald Trump's Palm Beach Club, was when she was approached in 2000 by Epstein's girlfriend and later employee Maxwell. That's pretty interesting. Ms. Giuffre said Maxwell hired her as a masseuse for Epstein, but the couple effectively made her a sexual servant, pursuing her and gratifying not only Epstein, but his friends and his associates. Originally born in Florida, Ms. Giuffre had moved to Australia with her husband, Robert, in 2019 prior to Epstein being arrested. Couples share 3 children. Okay, so supposedly her and her husband had been on the outs since like 2022, but this wasn't really confirmed until 2025 because there was a separation and it was made in courts and like public documents that they had for sure been separated since early 2025. That is her and her husband. Okay. But here's the thing, guys. This photo of her right here is super suspicious. Okay. She looks like she was beaten. Okay. And this makes sense as to why that you would fake the bus accident. Okay. Now, someone made a comment in the comments of the last video saying that Sean Atwood had like already talked about this and put it together, and I'm not familiar with what he said about it. I don't listen to Sean Atwood, though I've been on his channel before. I've been on his show talking about JFKX, but I had put this together almost immediately after I'd done my show yesterday, after I'd hit the end button. So this makes sense as to why she would fake the bus accident. Okay, because the bus accident happened March 24th. This post was, she posted this to her Instagram page on March 30th. Now, we don't exactly know when she entered the hospital, but just based off of when she posted the photo, we're guessing that it was several days after the bus accident. And the police are saying that it was minor injuries, like no one was beat up that bad, but this looks pretty bad. And then she also said that she has kidney failure and has 3 to 4 days to live. Okay, so if the bus accident is a completely fraudulent accident, this is what I was trying to figure out yesterday. How did she end up in the hospital? How did she get this bruising on her face? If the bus accident was not real, it was a fabrication, or maybe the bus accident did happen, but it happened exactly the way that the police said that it happened, that it was minor injuries, no one really got hurt. Okay. So, how did she get these bruises on her face? If the accident did happen, very minor injuries, or if the bus accident didn't happen, how did she get so beat up? Now, I'm not an analyst, I'm not a doctor, I'm not a nurse, I'm not for sure exactly how this bruising could happen, but it seems to be in line with being beat in the face. And also, someone made a comment in the episode that I did yesterday that Australian vehicles, the driver's seat is on the opposite side of the car. So in American vehicles, you're driving on the left side. The driver's seat is on the left side. In Australian vehicles, the driver's seat is on the right side, and you drive on the opposite side of the road too. So this happened. She's has this bruising on the left side of her face. So what did she even hit? What did she even hit to get this bruising on the side of her face right here? There would have to be somebody else in the car to get this kind of bruising on the side of her face if the bruising came from the bus accident itself, which I don't think that it did. I don't think that this bruising and her being beat up like this even came from the bus accident, because she entered the hospital several days after the bus accident. Okay? So this means that someone beat her, and this is in line with being held down and repeatedly beaten in the side of the face, repeatedly punched in the side of the face. This is the kind of black eye that you would get that from being repeatedly beaten in the face, in the side of your head. And I'm not ruling out the possibility that maybe it did have something to do with the bus accident. I just don't understand how the left side would have been hit in the bus accident when the driver's seat is on the right side, not the left side. Doesn't make much sense. So then when you look into this a little bit further, were there any reports from Virginia of domestic abuse from her husband? Okay, and this is where it all kind of comes together. Virginia Giuffre alleges husband has physically abused her for years. I can no longer stay silent. Giuffre, a victim of accused sexual offender Jeffrey Epstein, was involved in a recent car accident that her brother says saved her life. Okay, all right. But is this not adding up? Okay, so she's been saying that her husband abused her. The injuries aren't the same as being involved in a bus accident to the side of the face. There's nothing for her to hit on the side of her face because the driver's seat is in the right side of the vehicle. What would she be being? The bruising should be on the right side of her face, not the left side. Okay. As controversy swirls about the cryptic Instagram message, Jeffrey Epstein's victim, Virginia Giuffre, recently posted about her deteriorating health following a car crash in Australia. She is now coming forward with allegations of abuse. Allegations of abuse against her husband of 22 years, Robert Giuffre. Virginia, 21, previously spoke out as a victim of convicted sex offender Giuffre Epstein, who died in his prison cell at the age of 66 in 2019, and his associate Ghislaine Maxwell, 63, who had currently serving in prison sentence for child sex trafficking in connection with Epstein. Virginia says she has been behest to speak publicly about the abuse involving her husband until now. Okay, so who seems to be the person to profit from her losing her life that is no longer around? Okay, it's going to be her husband, and it's also going to be, everybody else, all the elite people as well. Like, I don't think people realize how much dirt and how much information Virginia had on all of these people. She had everyone. Here's a video that I want to play really quick where she's kind of well, let me see this one. Okay, this one's from a news report, and it's a interesting video that I found of Amy Robach. Some of you might be familiar with this. Amy Robach was an ABC news anchor, and she got caught on a hot mic with the video from Project Veritas. And Amy is talking about the suppression of the Giuffre Epstein story by ABC here. This is a really fascinating Project Veritas video.
I've had the story for 3 years. I've had this interview with Virginia Roberts. We would not put it on the air. First of all, I was told, who's Giuffre Epstein? No one knows who that is. This is a stupid story. Then the palace found out that we had her whole allegations about Prince Andrew and threatened us a million different ways. We were so afraid we wouldn't be able to interview Kate and Will that also quashed the story. And then Alan Dershowitz was also implicated in it because of the planes. She told me everything. She had pictures. She had everything. She was in hiding for 12 years. We convinced her to come out. We convinced her to talk to us. It was unbelievable what we had. Clinton. We had everything.
Had Clinton. She had Clinton. Virginia Roberts had Clinton. She had all of these people, and she had proof of what all these people were doing.
Everything. I tried for 3 years to get it on, to no avail, and now it's all coming out, and it's like these new revelations, and I freaking had all of it.
And ABC passed on it. ABC passed on it to squash the story.
I'm so pissed right now. Like, every day I get more and more pissed because I'm just like, oh my God, what we had was unreal. Other women backing it up. Hey, yep. Brad Edwards, the attorney, 3 years ago saying there will come a day when we will realize Giuffre Epstein was the most prolific pedophile this country has ever known. I had it all 3 years ago.
And they squashed it. They squashed the whole deal. And that was and then Amy got fired after that came out. They fired her after Project Veritas got that hot mic discussion of her talking about it. Okay, so let's get back to this article of Virginia's husband abusing her. Okay, in an exclusive statement to People, Virginia said, I was able to fight back against Ghislaine Maxwell and Giuffre Epstein, who abused and trafficked me, but I was unable to escape the domestic violence in my marriage until recently. After my husband's latest physical assault, I can no longer stay silent. Okay, so her husband is beating her. He's probably threatening her. This is the whole reason for the either faking of the bus accident, or the bus accident actually happened, and then the bus accident, there wasn't any, it was minor injuries, exactly like the police said. She goes back home, her husband beats the shit out of her, and this is this matches up with this photo that she posted on Instagram. He threatens her again. He threatens her, well, if you speak out about this, then you're never going to see your kids again. So then she goes to the hospital. Then she blames the way that she looks, and the way that she, like, the bruises and everything, on the bus accident that happened 6 days prior. That's I mean, that makes a lot of sense to me. An investigation needs to be opened up on this, on Virginia's husband, Robert. Someone open up an investigation on this man. Yeah, Tim, but the thing is that they were already kind of separated, and he had the kids. And I mean, she is telling People Magazine right now that she was abused by her husband in this article. But when it seems that someone has the power, right, and the husband has the kids, you don't want to jeopardize your only avenue to be able to see your kids. So what seems like happened again is that this bus accident could have happened. It may not have happened. Either way, she used the bus accident as a cover story as to why she was so beat up, because her husband probably threatened her that if you speak out about this, you're never going to see your kids again. That's it. Cutting you off. You're done. So she went to the hospital and essentially made up this entire story of how she got her injuries. I mean, this is a very common thing with domestic abuse survivors. They will make any excuse at all for their partner, for them not having any charges brought against them. And I'm not saying that that's right. It's just something that continuously happens because they're in fear for their life. And in this case, she has kids, and her husband has all of her kids. So she doesn't want to jeopardize not being able to see her kids. So she used the excuse that her injuries came from the bus accident, which lines up with what the police were saying. The police said that it was a minor accident with no injuries. So, okay, let's keep on reading here. She ended the statement by saying, again, I thank everyone for their support. I have faith that justice will prevail. Her statement comes less than the week after Virginia said on Instagram on Sunday, March 30th, that she was in the hospital and near death after a car which she was riding on March 24th was struck by a school bus going more than 49 miles per hour. That's wrong. It was 68 miles per hour by all accounts. I've gone into kidney renal failure, she wrote in the next photo of her lying in the hospital, her face covered in bruises. They've given me 4 days to live, transferring me to a specialist hospital. Okay, so in a roundabout way, she didn't tell the doctors or anybody at the hospital that the injuries that she suffered came from her husband, but she's now telling People Magazine less than a week after the Instagram post. And this was her last Instagram post that she ever made, too. So, in a roundabout way, she is telling you that these injuries that she suffered here were from her husband and not from the bus accident. But she was trying to protect him at the hospital by saying that they were from the bus accident. Okay, I'm going to read this again. Her statement comes less than a week after Virginia said on Instagram on Sunday, March 30th, that she was in the hospital and near death after a car in which she was riding on May 24th was struck by a school bus going more than 48 miles per hour. So less than a week after she made this post of her face all bruised up and being in kidney failure, which kidney failure can be caused to internal bleeding. So if he really did a number on her, which it seems like that he did do a really good number on her. That could be also the cause for her internal bleeding. So less than a week after she made this post, she makes these statements to People magazine that her husband, Robert Giuffre, had been physically abusing her for years, and she can no longer stay silent. So again, she is saying after the fact that she goes to the hospital that she told the hospital that it was the bus accident. Now she's telling People magazine that it wasn't, that it was her husband. Okay. Spokesperson Virginia confirms that Virginia reported on January 9th, 2005, an assault at Dunsborough, Western Australia, a police who did not charge Robert for any crime. See, that's her covering up for his abuse. People has been unable to obtain the incident report. Robert did not respond to People's multiple calls and texts for comment. So there was a prior event of domestic abuse that happened January 9th, 2025, in which Virginia also covered up for her husband. Okay. His attorney told People in an email, unfortunately, as the issues you raise are before the courts in Australia, both he and I associated with the case, including Ms. Giuffre or other agents who are prohibited from discussing or utilizing the media. Therefore, there is no comment. Speaking exclusively with People, Virginia's brother, Sky Roberts, and his wife, Amanda, both 36, say Virginia, who lives in Australia, is making the allegations because of the severity of her injuries. Okay, so they're telling you that this whole bus thing either did not happen or it happened and the injuries did not, they were very minor injuries, just like the police were saying. So then her husband beat the shit out of her, and that's how she got these bruises. Okay, a full-fledged investigation needs to come onto Robert Giuffre, her husband. Sky and Amanda note that they did not know whether Virginia's medical issues were caused by the crash or complications from a recent beating. Ugh. Sky and Amanda note that they don't know whether Virginia's medical issues were caused by the crash, the bus crash, or complications from a recent beating she allegedly suffered at the hands of her husband, or a combination of the two. Okay, let's be clear. She never stated in the bus accident the cause of all her other injuries. Exactly, because it can't be, you can't get an injury to the, well, I can't say that you can't get an injury to the left side of your face, but it would be very difficult to get an injury to the left side of your face because there's literally nothing for the left side of your face to hit in a car crash. But I do think that the bus crash was in some way, shape, or form saved her life. It could have been a blessing in disguise. Well, it technically didn't, because then she ended up, from all reports, dying of suicide, right? Adding that she doesn't know specifically what happened internally to her. Okay, so she says she doesn't know what happened internally to her. Sky, an auto claims adjuster, says Virginia's bruising is consistent with a car crash. Okay, well, that's definitely a lie. I don't believe that whatsoever. I don't believe that. There's no way that her face can look like this from a car crash on the left side when the driver's side is on the right side. There's nothing for her face to hit. Okay, nobody ever said that her liver issues and kidney failure was from that. We still don't know what it is, and I'm not a medical professional. That's up to the doctor to determine. Okay, well, the only way that you can have kidney, well, not the only way, but kidney failure normally comes from internal bleeding or excessive amount of drinking or drugs, but that normally takes effect when you're a lot older in life, or poisoning. or poisoning. Being poisoned can also result in kidney failure. Okay. Speaking about the damage to Virginia's organs, Sky said that I think from years of alleged abuse, you got to think that she's allegedly being abused for over 10 years. Anybody's body is going to take a toll over that course of time. Okay, so she's been abused by her husband for over 10 years. Virginia has been having marital issues for a while, and in August of 2023 or so, separated from Robert, the father of her children, ages 9 and 16 and 15, Sky and Amanda say. During the trip to celebrate one of the children's birthday in January, Robert allegedly beat Virginia so severely she was left with a cracked septum and a perforated eye, among other injuries. Okay, well, what does this photo look like? What does this look like? This almost looks like the identical thing that was described that happened to her back in January, where she also covered up the abuse of her husband. Yes, kitty cat, kidney and liver detoxes, chemical and poisons. Yes. Yes, it is. Kidney failure is goes right along with being poisoned. Okay, to the family shock, they say Robert quickly filed a family violence restraint. Oh my God. Okay. So he just flipped the script on her for plausible deniability here. Okay. So the family knows that her husband is beating her. So the way that Robert tries to get out of this is by filing a family violence restraining order against her, alleging that she had become violent with him. This is standard narcissism. This is standard woman beaters. This is standard domestic violence abusers. This is what they do. This is for plausible deniability, for whenever you plan the death of somebody. Okay? When you plan the death of somebody, you don't want to look like the person, you don't want to be implicated in that death of that individual. So you do everything in your power legally to make it seem like that you weren't the person that did it. So you separate from them, you get the kids, you file the restraining order when it's really the opposite way around. You're the person that's beating your wife, but you go file the restraining order saying that your wife was beating them, and then you have the kids, and then it looks like you're off scot-free. Okay, you have plausible deniability, because if the courts or anything ever come after you, there's proof that, oh, hey, I had a restraining order against her. She was the one that was beating me, not the other way around. I also have the kids. I have sole custody of all the kids. That's exactly what they do. Okay. That's gaslighting at its most extreme. Okay, so he put his in place first. Sky alleges. Now she's on the defense, and that's like the setup, right? She doesn't want to file. She doesn't want to file the report or get a restraining order against him because he has access to the kids, and she wants to be able to see the kids. So she can't come out and say, oh, hey, he's abusing me to the police. Now she can do the People's article and say that, her husband is abusing her and has been abusing her for 10 years. And there was another incident back in January where I was abused by my husband. But she can't go to the police because then that solidifies it. And there's a police report and he has the kids. She doesn't want to screw up anything with the kids. So then he turns around and files a restraining order against her and says that she was beating him. Okay, it's narcissism and freaking woman beater 101. Okay, she was accused of breaching the restraining order by texting Robert on February 2nd in Perth. 7 News was the first to report, addressing critics who say Virginia is coming forward with this now because she wants to avoid going to court on April 9th to address the alleged restraining order violation. Sky says that it was dangerous thinking. Okay, so whenever he files the report against her, then she supposedly breaches this report by texting him because she probably wants to see her freaking kids. Okay. It is going to take her to die for people to believe her. Oh my God. Wow. Wow. Is this a crazy quote or what? It is going to take her to die for people to believe her. Or can you just simply be a human and look at the facts and understand this is somebody that legitimately got into an accident, legitimately had underlying issues? Okay, so there's this history of abuse between her and her husband. Her entire family knows it. The bus accident was a setup. She went to the hospital because she had been beaten by her husband. She did not tell the doctors at the hospital the reason for the bruising. This is really, what's that one case that Netflix just did a documentary for? It's where the girl went missing out on the camping trip. Someone can tell me on the in the chat here, but there was a Netflix documentary that was about that where they were going like cross country camping and they were doing like they were doing like blogs and stuff, and then she ended up going missing, and then he goes back home, and then her body was found like I don't know a month or so later or whatever. But anyway, they were pulled over by the police, and it was a report that someone had seen him beating her in the car, so they called the police. The police come over and pull them over, and then he flips it around on her and says that she was beating him. And then they let him go. She's the one that had all the bruises. She had the black eye. And he flipped it around on her and said that she was the one that was beating him. And then the police just let them all go. I'll have to figure out which case that was, but it was a very, very popular case. Okay, so the controversial post after her last Instagram post, Virginia has been accused of exaggerating and even lying about the accident and her health. Well, the reason that she would lie about the accident is because her husband beat her and she didn't want to out him because she has all the kids. That's the only reason that you would lie about the bus accident and how you got your injuries. On Tuesday, April 1st, her family clarified in a statement obtained by People that Virginia thought that she had posted the message on a private social media network and not her Instagram. Okay, well, the reason that you would want to do that is, again, to hide and obfuscate exactly how you got the injuries. If she was actually thought that she was going to be posting it to a private Facebook group and not Instagram, which I don't really know how you confuse those unless you're completely disoriented and really banged up. Not only was she likely on pain medication in the hospital when she was sent the message, but Sky says that's how she was feeling, desperate and depressed, not being able to be with her children, ages 19, 16, and 15, who are the most important thing in her life. Okay, and here's a picture of Virginia and Prince Andrew and Ghislaine Maxwell, the very famous photo. Okay, so Virginia became a public figure. She accused Epstein, this late billionaire and convicted sex offender, and his girlfriend Maxwell of trafficking her to rich and powerful men, including Prince Andrew when she was a teenager. Prince Andrew, yeah, we've already gone over all that. Okay, so that was the article. So this all seems to be making a lot more sense here. That the injuries did not come from the bus accident. The police say that it was very minor. You don't look like this from a minor injury. You don't have internal bleeding. Your kidneys probably would not be failing unless it was a very, very bad accident, which the police deny that it was a bad accident. You don't end up looking like that you were beaten in the side of the face repeatedly. When the driver's side is on the right side of the vehicle, not the left side of the vehicle, in an accident, there would be nothing for your left side of your head to even hit. Okay, so I think that a full-scale investigation needs to be brought on Virginia's husband. I think that we are that this is the closest explanation that anyone has gotten so far, and it's basically all laid out here in this People's Magazine report. And I think an investigation needs to be brought on to this guy right here, not only for the domestic abuse that Virginia had suffered for reportedly 10 years, but also for the death of Virginia. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb here and say that Robert, her husband, was involved in some way in a full-fledged freaking investigation needs to be brought against this guy. And then, with her saying, I'm making it publicly known that in no way, shape, or form am I suicidal. I've made this known to my therapist and GP. If something happens to me in the sake of my family, do not let this go away. Help me protect them. Okay, so I think that we need to make this thing, make this man held accountable, or at least be questioned, and at least then an investigation opened up on him. But he's got all the defense, right? He's got all the defense because he's had the kids. He had the report filed of a restraining order against her because he was claiming that she beat him when it was really the other way around. Okay, it's narcissistic domestic violence abuse to do something like that. So he's got all of the defense. He's got the paperwork. He's got the filing. But I really think that if an investigation could see through all of that, this guy would go down. 100%. He would go down and he would be implicated at least in the death in some form or another. I think that it's this guy. I think that he's the one. And again, I'm just putting two and two together here. I can't say anything for sure. Someone needs to really deeply, heavily look into this and look into all the allegations and not just push it aside like it's that it was just suicide. Okay, they need to do a deep, full-fledged investigation into this man. And again, I'm just someone on the internet doing this stuff, but I feel like that if the police were to do a 100% full-fledged investigation on all this and all the allegations, they would find that he was somehow involved. When domestic abuse is involved in any kind of case, it normally pans out to be, and someone dies from or goes missing, it's normally the person that was beating her. Okay, I'm going to go out on a limb and say that it was normally the person that was beating her that was responsible for her death. It only makes sense. So I don't think that we should let this go. I think that we should keep talking about it and get some kind of justice for her, because I really, with her saying that I'm not suicidal if anything happens to me, even though that this was in 2019, it doesn't matter. She still made the statement and she was still very confident that she would never kill herself. I think that we should take her at her word, and I think that this whole thing should be investigated. Or it's going to become a thing exactly like Giuffre Epstein, where there is no investigation, and then it becomes all theories and all speculation, and then there's a huge documentary on it in 10 years that then kind of points the finger at her husband, Robert, for killing her, but then all the evidence has been destroyed, and then the case never gets reopened, or it gets reopened, but they can't find that smoking gun evidence. This needs to be done now. The investigation needs to be on him now. All right, guys. You guys got any comments or thoughts for me before we wrap up? I think we did a pretty good job. Here today. I think we solved it. That's not me being egotistical. I literally had this epiphany like when I hit the end live stream button yesterday. I was like, oh my God, because I had made that comment that it looks like her, that there's a handprint on her face here in this photo that she posted on Instagram on the 30th. Nance Hardwick, maybe the hubby is being used by intelligence to help them out. Yeah, it could be. I mean, that's a two birds with one stone type of scenario there. Right? You use someone to take her out, and then you don't have to worry about her spilling the beans on anybody else. Okay, here's another video of that I want to play of Virginia talking about Ghislaine Maxwell.
You say that she has videos, or she has knowledge of videos that exist about people. People like who? People well-known names?
Very well-known names. The government officials, the politicians, the royalty, they were taping everybody.
So this is about Ghislaine Maxwell whenever she got captured and she's in prison. What's another really strange thing, we didn't get to see hardly any photos of her court case, Ghislaine Maxwell's court case. There was nothing about drawings there. We don't even know where she is, what's going on with her. Okay, and this is her talking about Ghislaine Maxwell, worse than Epstein. Like, what all does she have? And she just said that she has videotapes of all these high up important people, dukes, royalty, politicians.
Every moment when you walked into the New York mansion, to Palm Beach, everything was being filmed.
Do you think people knew they were being taped?
No.
No.
I do not. Not at all.
Giuffre alleges Maxwell and Epstein were blackmailing the wealthy and the powerful.
Well, duh, that was the entire operation. I think that's where she is. Kitty cat. Where is Ghislaine Maxwell being held in prison? Ghislaine Maxwell moves to FCI Tallahassee Honor Dome. Florida Correctional Institute, Tallahassee. Okay, so she was moved to a very low security prison because she had good behavior. Sweet, let's give the freaking sex pedophile, human trafficker, the most low security prison ever. Ghislaine Maxwell moved to low security prison in Florida. This is by The Guardian. Disgraced socialite serving 20-year sentence for procuring teenage girls for Jeffrey Epstein to abuse. Ghislaine Maxwell has been sent to a low security prison to serve out her 20-year prison sentence for procuring teenage girls to be abused by the financier Jeffrey Epstein. The 60-year-old has been moved to FCI Tallahassee in Florida. According to the Bureau of Prisons, she will be eligible for release on July 17th of 2037. The disgraced socialite appealed against her conviction in the sentence this month. Maxwell and the daughter of the publican Baron Robert Maxwell has been held in the Metropolitan Detention Center in New York since her arrest in July 2020 on charges that lured girls as young as 14 into Epstein's abusive orbit. So they gave her a little slap on the wrist. Only 20 years, not life in prison. And guess what? Too, Ghislaine, will send you to the most cushy freaking prison that we got. Yeah, that's right. Katie Cat, she should be in the worst prison. Only 20 years. Yeah, she should be getting freaking life in prison, no parole. No parole, worst prison in the world. Like send her to freaking Guantanamo or something, or some private prison in Texas. We all know those ones aren't good. All right, guys. I think we solved it. Well, I mean, if we didn't solve it, we came pretty freaking close. I think we did a good job here. I think we nailed it. And I don't think that we should stop talking about this. I think that we should keep pushing for this. And I think we should keep pushing for a full-fledged investigation into Virginia's husband here. I think that a huge investigation should be opened against him, not only because of his abuse against her. An investigation should have been opened up way further back onto him and the domestic abuse that Virginia suffered at his hands. But I think a full-fledged investigation needs to be opened up on this dude, and they need to get to the bottom of this. But and I think we should keep pushing for it, and I think we shouldn't stop talking about it, just based off of the fact that she said that she would never kill herself. She would never commit suicide. Someone's got to have her back on this thing. So thank you guys. Appreciate your time this evening. And please be sure to hit the thumbs up button to help the channel and the algorithm. Share, subscribe, hit the bell icon as well for notifications. And I should be back tomorrow. If I'm not back tomorrow, I'll be back on Friday. Hope you guys have a great, well, this is the end of the weekend. So I hope you guys have a great week. And we'll see you guys next time. Bye-bye.